Okay,
All right.
we're live.
Hi, we're live.
Hi.
So how's it going, Eva? How are you doing today? How was your
Good.
day?
It's been kind of hectic. I had a lot going on, but that's good. I feel like it's a good way to kind of pass the time.
Yeah, especially with what's going on with
Yeah.
COVID and everything. It's
Mm-hmm.
nice to keep busy. I've noticed the past few days, and I don't know if you've noticed this, but I was talking to some of our soul group from Peru, is that a lot of people are having trouble sleeping at night, and just I'm feeling myself fatigue.
Mm-hmm.
Just feel so drained, like during the day. I don't know, like I almost need to catnap every day now. I don't know what it is. The energy is you could really feel it.
Yeah, I suspect you're probably picking up on the general like fatigue that people have with being locked inside, like the collective energy, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. That's probably what it is. I noticed for the past few days also, just on and off, just feeling a little like energy up and down. But you're right, it's probably just I'm tapping into everybody else's energy, and just with what's going on. But so we had a session. I did a
Yes.
healing hypnosis session on Ava a few days ago. And I just wanted to know first of all, how are you feeling post session? It's been 48 hours, I think.
Yeah, it has. I feel great. Sorry, I'm just going to come out of my WhatsApp because it's going to
That's
start
okay.
making all
Yeah.
of these noises. Yeah, I feel fantastic. Um, I think it was a really wonderful experience to be able to go a little bit deeper into those lives. Like I had seen them, glimpses of them when we did the session in Peru. But this time being able to really kind of understand what happened in each one was interesting.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So Ava and I, for everybody that's listening out there, we just got back from Peru now. Gosh, how long?
It's been over a month, maybe almost two.
EA?
Sorry?
Yeah. I was just going to say the time has just flown by.
It
It
has, yeah.
almost feels like we just from Peru.
Mm-hmm.
I think my internet might be a little dodgy. Can you hear me?
So you're kind of in and out sometimes.
I was just going to say my internet is probably a little dodgy. Can you hear me? But I think I'm back.
Yes.
No, it's just Peru, how time has flown by. I was saying, like, it just feels like we were just there yesterday. Feels so fresh still. But yeah, so Eva and I, and a bunch of us just got back from Peru, and it was probably a trip of a lifetime for me anyway.
For me as well, definitely.
Yeah, and I'm just so blessed and lucky and grateful that we got the opportunity to go. But yeah, coming back to this, it's been a little surreal. But yeah, so during one of our gatherings in Peru, we did a group regression, and I guess the energies that you felt there, and some of the past lives that you had in Peru came through. And so, but you didn't really get to, I guess you didn't really get the full scope of what they were all about.
No, so what happened was we did a little exercise at the gathering, and with the intention of seeing, or it was like a meditation, right? So experiencing 3 past lives that you have brought with you into this one, for a specific reason. So the instruction was there are 3 to 5 very important past lives that come with you kind of in your energy field, or that are maybe more present than others in your energy field. So the purpose of the meditation was to kind of do a quick review. So we did this meditation. We're standing in a place where there are 3 doors in front of us, and then we go through each one of those doors. And the meditation was very fast. So you open one door, you kind of go in, and maybe we're there for a minute, and you get to experience something from that one. And so that happened with each one. And in that experience, I experienced a life the first one was as a medicine woman, a shamanic healer. But it was a beautiful life. It was one where she lived in harmony with plants and nature, and her community adored her. You know, sometimes there are these things where shamans or medicine people are kind of feared, and so they're put into the outskirts of the community and they're ostracized even though they're visited for their help. But no, it was very clear that she was loved and adored by the community. The second one, I felt that I was a sorcerer. It was very dark. I felt that this person really lived and fed off of the fear of other people. And did not lead a life that was one that was very positive. It basically was all about power and
Yes.
fear. And then in the third one, I was this very strong man, but also a leader in a community, in this beautiful like mountain community. But I remember distinctly from that, doing this in Peru, that this man lived a life of absolute balance. So he was very strong and he was a leader in his community, but at the same time, he had this beautiful family and he was very gentle with his family. And the community also respected him. So it was kind of, you know, at the end of the, looking back at it, it was like, that was the balance between both lives, right?
I was just going to say.
Yeah, but I realized that each of those lives had, the thread that ran through each of them was about power and how you use the power.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
And very different lives, but that
Totally
was
different.
definitely
Yeah.
the key, I guess, commonality between all three. That, but very distinct, like even from different places. So when we did when I did the hypnosis session on Ava, we really got to get a little bit more information about like location and more about the landscape, more about the family ties that each soul had, and it was really, really how during Alba and Tabash's gathering, or Blair's gathering, that during the meditation, it was only just a minute. Like you only got to really get a snapshot.
Exactly. Yeah, just like a very brief overview.
I think.
So
Am I
this
frozen?
was. Yeah, you are frozen. For me, you're frozen. Okay, you've unfrozen now. You've been thought
Sorry,
out.
I was like, Ava, are you there? I'm back. So no, what I was saying was, it was funny how during their meditation, you only got to get just a snapshot of each life from each door.
Yeah, exactly.
And it wasn't much, but you got a sense of sort of what they were about. But when I did the session on you, we got a lot more information. So tell me, what did you get from the session? What did you learn from the session, or what did you know? Because I mean, ultimately, all these past lives are connected to you.
Yeah.
And so I guess tell us what you learned from those past lives.
I think the first two, it's interesting because I hadn't really thought about it until you asked that question just now.
Yeah.
And I think there's more to it than it just being about me. I feel like there's a message that's kind of a broader message, right? But in the first two, so in the first one, as the woman who was this healer, we go back to her childhood and we find out that she was physically, verbally, sexually abused by her caretaker, who wasn't her father, but she was abandoned by her family, her mother, and this man adopted her and took care of her. Um, and so there was a degree of, you know, because of the abuse, I guess you can consider it that there was some dark elements to that life, right? But what I found really interesting about that, and what kind of resonates with me in this life as well, is the fact that that experience was one that transformed her life. So through in the session, I realized that I never would have guessed that that was the childhood that she had when I first saw the snapshot, because she was just so loving, so harmonious. It was just this beautiful life. And actually, I was surprised to realize that, you know, her past was actually quite a difficult one. And that experience of being abused, that experience of abuse was one that completely transformed her life, because it required her to do a lot of deep inner work. And it was the catalyst for her becoming a healer.
Yeah.
She had to heal herself first. And in the session, we learned that really there was no more healing that needed to be done, because she had completely healed herself. And then as a result became a healer for others. So that was interesting. So that one you know, deals a little bit with abuse, and if we want to call it like darkness, right? So the darker side of life. And then the second one, where I'm a sorcerer, that one was really about darkness. Yeah. But it was interesting because when we stepped into the life, I was confused, because I told you, when I first experienced that life, I got a snapshot of this dark sorcerer, right? This person who feeds off of fear and who loves the power of fear, and just, you know, everybody fears him and he loves it. But when we entered the life, I was this man, and seemed like a really good man, like a decent man. And turns out this man actually became the apprentice of the sorcerer that taught him everything that he knew. And as a result, that's how he kind of got into the darkness. So it was like a flip, you know? Childhood was one that was very, I mean, we didn't go much into childhood, but we understand that maybe normal, loving childhood. And then he's kind of pulled into the darkness by another person.
Yeah, it was like the whole concept of contrast and duality.
Yeah, absolutely.
Was really, I think, highlighted in actually both of those lives, and maybe even the third life, but definitely the first two. And it was just funny how, you know, the first life started out so so dark, and just like so much adversity, like she had to go through so much, but then she ended up persevering, and she overcame those challenges, and then she became this healer of the entire village or the community. So she really used that darkness to get to the light. And then the second fellow, I think his name was Mubarak,
yeah.
Mubarak, sorry. I almost got this vibe that he was just, you know, a really just a peaceful man, just really trying to listen to the elders and do the right thing, and he really wanted to be of service. Like, that's what I got from it. But then he ended up in this dark sort of twisted life where he was you know, doing, you know, not such positive things, you know. Like, I think one of the things, there was murder, or like getting people to commit murder or something like that. So it got to be very, very dark, but just the duality.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, the messages that came through for both lives were that, you know, this is what before you were born, you decided this. So it doesn't make you a bad person. You wanted to experience the duality. You wanted to experience both light and dark for that reason, to evolve, so your soul can evolve. And I think that's such a hard concept for a lot of people to understand.
Yeah.
You know, especially, yeah.
And that was the message that came through. So at one point, we were conversing with Azrael, and
Who was one of the guides, right?
who was one of the guides, yeah. And I got the impression that he was a guide over many. Not just my personal guide, but a guide of many. And one of the things that he said was that the experience of the darkness is something that's important and appropriate, because it's only in the darkness that one can see or experience the light. And I remember you had asked a question about how does this, you know, about the Cabal and the abuse of children, and how does, you know, how does kind of, what messages about that? And the message was the same, is that there is an appropriateness in it. It's part of the experience. It's part of the human experience. We're not able to understand the light without the dark. And it's hard not to judge, especially when you're here and you kind of empathize with those people who are being abused, and you see how wrong it is what's happening. But I remember the message was everything is as it should be.
Yes. And that there's even though there's darkness, there's a greater plan behind it. You know, and like we're experiencing right now with COVID, there's definitely a bigger there's it's not just COVID, right? There's something spiritual that's happening. There's like an ascension going on for the collective. There's a big movement that's happening sort of behind the scenes. And
Yes.
although all these dark things are coming out, and about government and the elite and folks that do have a lot of power, and they're abusing their power, and you know, all this, even just you know, months leading up to this with the Me Too movement and a lot of sexual harassment and all these pedophilia rings. I mean, we've known for a long time that they've been out there, and sex trafficking, and you know, all these rings that are, you know, Pizzagate and all that, especially in Hollywood. But now it's actually in our face. Like there's documentaries, all, you know, information coming out about, you know, politicians and the government being involved, and all these high ranking officials. And it just, even the royal family, and it just goes to show that this was all sort of orchestrated for a higher purpose. And although it's dark, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I was just gonna add that Cryon. So I love Cryon's messages.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that he always says, I don't know, like Lee Carroll is a channel, but one of the things that he said in numerous channels, what he says is that it's kind of like a spring cleaning, right? The dirt has always been settling there beneath the bed or beneath the couch and collecting, but it's always been there. You just can't see it because you've never done that deep clean where you've moved the couch and pulled it out, or perhaps you haven't been able to get behind the bed. It's hidden, but it's always been there. And you can't do a proper deep clean until you literally pull it all out, get under the bed, you sweep it all up, and then you may be surprised at how much dirt is actually there. Yeah. But in order for you to clean it, you have to see it. It has to be exposed.
Yeah, and I feel like, you know, we've, you know, as globally, as a collective, or however you want to say it, we've kind of had this veil over us, you know, for the past how many years, decades even, and slowly, bit by bit, this veil is lifting. And I feel like in the next few months, we're going to find out more. And we're going to get more information, and we'll be able to purge more. And this is exactly what you said, or Chiron said, is that you kind of have to look at the darker side as much as we don't want to, as hard as it is to hear that children are being abused like they are, and people are being taken advantage of, and all the corruption that's happening, sometimes you have to look, evil in the face to actually face the truth and do something about it.
And that's it. It's like, if you don't know about the extent of what's going on, if you don't know, like, you're not going to have any incentive to do anything. But if you know, and it's something that's so abhorrent to you, and you've seen it, and there's evidence of it, you and many other people are going to do your damnedest to make sure that the system doesn't permit that to happen again.
Yeah.
And that's the whole thing with this process of exposure. It has to be exposed so that people are so appalled that they make sure nothing happens, that this doesn't happen again. It's like the same thing that happened in Nazi Germany. At the end of the war, people were so disgusted with what happened is they made the German Constitution so airtight so that something like that could never happen again, at least not in Germany.
That's right. No, it's so true. And I'm, although the world is kind of going, there's a lot of fear-based energy that's going on right now. And I think that will pass, but you need to look at it. You need to expose it. You need to look at it right in the face. And that's how you create change, because you have to look at the other side, the darker side, to find the light. And I feel like and it's almost like a instant awakening for the people that have been asleep for so long. There's some of us that have been on this journey, and you have a awakening for personal reasons, and it really, you tend to walk on that path of spirituality and, self-development and looking within. But this is like a mass scale. So I feel like everybody's kind of like, whoa, like this is like, part of my French, but shit is getting real.
Yeah.
And so I personally think this is all good. I'm actually at peace knowing that this is all coming out. Even with the whole COVID itself as a virus, I don't want to give it any more energy that it's gotten. But yeah, I'm not really afraid, and I'm actually at peace.
Yeah.
I'm okay with this. It's a little, I'm not gonna lie, the 3D part of me is like, oh God, I'm in isolation, I'm at my parents' place, I'm trapped. But no, it's a great time for inner work. It's a great time for introspection, and it's a great time to wake up.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I mean, it is what it is, but
I think it's good as well. I think it's positive. And that's the way that I always try to look at it. Like, sometimes it's really tough to kind of digest some of the things that you see and you hear about. But I always try to remember, if people don't know about it, there's no way for anybody to do anything about it. So it kind of has to get out there, and that's going to be the catalyst for change.
Yeah, and as we walk into the age of, Aquarius, which is a sign that really is all about change, and it's a sign that is about, equality and freedom and liberation, and fighting for your rights and going against the grain no matter what, and actually standing up to power, folks that have power and authority. And so as we walk down this age of, I think we're going to see a lot more people that are going to band together, and they're going to come together. We're going to see a lot of unity, which I'm actually looking forward to. I really am. Yeah. So, but
as you mentioned power, I just think about the last life, right? And connecting the whole thing to everything that's going on. It was like the example of what a good leader is, right? Somebody who's strong, but somebody who has a lot of integrity. because I specifically recall that in that life, even though there wasn't very much drama going on in the community, but yeah, there are these arguments over like who's hunting on my land.
Yeah.
And
So we're just talking about Ava's last past life that came through, and his name was Foran.
Foran, okay, I forgot
Foran.
myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was this community leader, but he was very strong, but at the same time, he was very compassionate. He was very gentle with his family, but like this huge, like really muscular, tall, like big guy, really big, really powerful physically, but also powerful in many other ways. But to me, it was the example of what good leadership and good governance is. And he was chosen by his community because they recognized that he was a fair man, that he was a man of integrity, and they wanted somebody like that to be the person to resolve disputes between the community. And it was amazing, his approach, because his approach was about unity within the community. When they're fighting over who's hunting on whose land, his whole thought process and the discussion surrounding how he dealt with the argument was, even though we're a community and yes, we have plots of land that quote unquote belong to us, we are one people and we share one land, and the earth is very abundant. There's enough for us. There's no reason for us to argue in this way. And I just think if we can have leaders like that, if we can have leaders that govern with integrity and then govern with the big picture in mind, keep bearing in mind that at the end of the day, we're all connected. At the end of the day, we're all sharing the same planet. We'll live in a much better place.
Yeah, I mean, I've always had this dream about, communal living and getting, a big plot of land and having everybody just live on the land and growing your own crops and food and trying to live more minimalistically and, eco-friendly, trying to save energy and, use solar power if you can, and just everybody coming together and living together. And I think that sort of idea, and I think more and more we're going to see people starting communities and wanting to do that.
Yeah, I think so.
Because there's this resurgence of wanting to be a unit and wanting to live equally and wanting to live there's such a gap between rich and poor in so many countries, and it's just really, really, and that's how corruption starts, right? You have this it's just there's such a gap between the classes, and it's and it's funny, and I say that because I'm thinking third world countries, but you're seeing it in the States too.
Yeah, you do. And the thing is, there's so much there, like the studies will show you that there's so much food wastage in North America. There is an overproduction of food. There's enough food for everybody to have something to eat. So there's really no reason why people should be hungry,
and yet they are saying that kids, in some states, they don't want to pull them out of school because they actually get fed. That's
right.
I don't want to pull the kids out of school because, well, how are they going to eat? That's so sad.
Yeah.
That's so sad that that's their only means of getting food is via school. That's not right. There's something wrong there.
Yeah.
But anyway, what I'll do is, just because, we're talking about Ava's session, what I'll do is I'll link her audio below. I don't actually have the video, but I do have the audio, so I'll link it below. And then we could also link the site for the Chiron. You could tell me.
Yeah, Cryon. Yeah.
Oh, Cryon. Sorry, Cryon. And I'll add that if anybody's interested. And I'll also, link my website and Ava's website. We do facilitate healing hypnosis sessions. Ava is based out of Miami, and I'm based out of Vancouver, Canada. But we're doing online sessions on Zoom and Skype. So if anybody's interested, please contact us. But we are going to try to do more of these little spiritual chats. So yeah, let us know what you guys think. Is there anything else you wanted to add, Ava?
Maybe just talk a little bit about like your area of interest in your hypnosis practice.
So I mean, I think for the clientele that I've been getting for the past year, so I graduated last year in 2019 April, and I started working pretty well straight away. And I would say I got the target clients that I see. It's sort of across the board, but a lot of anxiety, depression, folks that are struggling with addiction issues, relationship issues, just people that want to work on self-development, childhood trauma. I mean, gosh, hypnosis works wonders for so many things.
Yeah, it absolutely does.
What about you? What is sort of the area of interest for your hypnosis?
I would say that if, and this is my area of interest, and also it's reflected as well in the clientele that I've been attracting. It's, for the most part, it has been people who are struggling with relationships. So coming out of a breakup and how to kind of release emotional baggage, or maybe getting back together with an ex and kind of how to manage the situation given the perhaps difficult circumstances that in which the relationship ended. Yeah, a lot of it has been about kind of managing relationships that are not working, managing them or letting go of relationships that are not working. So yeah.
I was just gonna say it's interesting what's happening with relationships during COVID. I'm seeing all these memes about.
Oh my gosh.
I think there was one meme going around where there's a couple and they're in bed, and the woman is kind of faced this way, and she's like all distraught, and she's like, I wonder how many women he's talking to or who he's thinking about besides me. And then he's turned around, he's like, oh my gosh, like how am I gonna pay the bills, and what's going to happen with like, the financial, like, oh gosh, there's going to be a recession. So it's so funny. And they're thinking different things, but there's just that communication barrier.
Yeah. Or for people who are single, their exes are reaching out to them out of the blue and wanting to reconnect. And the question is, why do you want to connect with me? Is it because you're bored? Is it because you're lonely?
Yes.
Because you can't get out and so that's a difficult one. That requires a lot of strength to realize, wait, let me just re-examine the situation and figure out if this is really right for me.
Using your discernment. I mean, I think times are interesting because even though we are isolated, and I guess some people are maybe in too close quarters, and couples are starting to fight, and there's domestic violence going on because they're just always in each other's faces now because of COVID. But then for other folks, it's just like, well, the craving of connectivity.
Yeah.
I mean, even for myself, like I do miss just chatting with my friends and just you guys, my soul family. Like I need to connect because how do you stay, like I'm okay being by myself, and you can only watch Netflix for so long. I feel like I've watched everything on Netflix.
Oh my gosh.
But so you do. I mean, I think this is a really great thing about what's going on with this whole, I don't even want to say COVID, but what's going on right now.
With the quarantine.
Yes. Is that it's forcing folks to connect. You know, you have to socialize somehow. So people now, maybe there's no physical contact, but you're actually diving deep and you're having these hopefully deep, meaningful conversations with people and trying to get to know them, like for the insight.
Yeah.
Which is really great.
Yeah, I was actually talking to a friend of mine the other day about like what would dating look like now, especially if social distancing continues, which I mean, it seems like that's going to be the new norm.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, well, even on dating apps, like you can't really, especially now in quarantine, you can't really get together. So the hookups are not really an option.
Yeah.
So maybe that means that people will have like more of a more meaningful dates where they're doing it like this online. They're actually talking as opposed to like it's almost like the physicality is being delayed. So it gives you more opportunity to actually get to know somebody.
I would be really interested to see if people end up getting into really serious relationships faster because of this, because they are forced to really dig deep and connect on a deeper level. And are we going to see folks getting like maybe not married, but like entering, committed partnerships faster because of that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it would be interesting to see.
Yeah.
The dynamic.
We won't know for a while. So let's
We
watch
will
out for
not
those
know.
statistics.
Yeah. Hey.
Yeah.
What about us? Are we going to be a statistic? I don't know. We'll see.
We shall see.
But no, it was really, really nice talking to you, Ava. And I think it's great to keep these chats sort of, not too long, and we won't keep them too short, but just the right amount of time so our viewers can really, enjoy it.
Yeah.
And we're not dragging on. But I guess, yeah, we want to know how your feedback. Did you guys enjoy our little chat? Let us know, and we'll come back with more.
And also, if there are any topics you want us to discuss.
Yeah, that's actually a good idea. We'll talk about anything.
Awesome.
All right. Take care. Bye, guys.
Yeah. Bye.